The year was 1947. The British were in a hurry to quit after 200 years of loot, plunder and destruction. People far away from ground realities, with no idea of what our civilization stood for, met to decide the fate of India. And a line was drawn. This decision altered the lives of millions. The biggest displacement story, the biggest forced migration in the history of humankind, the partition of India. The bloodied partition was based on religion, the very fact that there was a demand for an Islamic nation to be carved out of India. The Indian government announced in 2021 that 14th August would be marked as the Partition Horrors Remembrance Day. What makes this day significant are the thousands of tales told and countless tales untold, buried and vanished with time. Over 13 million people were uprooted and forced to migrate as an outcome of the partition. On February 20th, 1947, British Prime Minister Clement Attlee announced in the House of Commons that the government had decided to hand over power and leave India no later than 30th June 1948. Sir C.J. Radcliffe was assigned to draw the line for partition. The strange thing, however, was that he had never earlier visited India. A man with no understanding of the complexities of the subcontinent was responsible for writing the fate of millions of Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs. When he was first approached to head the Punjab Boundary Commission, he was expected to complete the task by June 1948. The transfer of power was preponed by a year by Lord Mountbatten. This left Radcliffe with just 3 weeks to draw the line. The process was seen as a personal triumph of the Viceroy. The tales of the horror women faced during India's partition are gut-wrenching. Thousands of incidents of sectarian violence had taken place. Women were the silent sufferers. Sectarian violence had erupted in Rawalpindi on the backdrop of the partition of India. Hindus and Sikhs were given ultimatums to either convert to Islam or die. Numerous Sikh and Hindu villages were wiped out. After resisting for 3 days, the Sikhs hoisted white flags and negotiated truce with the Muslim mobs in Rawalpindi. As per the agreement, the mobs will loot their houses but will not burn them, kill them or dishonor their women. The mob leaders had demanded rupees 20,000 in lieu of their freedom. The Sikhs abandoned their houses and took refuge in central Haveli of Sardar Gulab Singh, and some went to Dukh Bhajani Gurudwara located next to Gulab Singh's mansion. However, the mobs, once done with their looting and arson, surrounded the Haveli, and this is when the Sikhs realized they wouldn't be spared. As the men prepared for a battle, the women gathered around a well in the garden and jumped into it to save their honor. Besides this incident, there were abductions of thousands of women who were raped, sold into prostitution, killed or disappeared. Harrowing tales of girls who were sold as slaves in Northwest Frontier Province came out later as they returned from Pakistan. Many men were killed waiting for the train to escape. The dead bodies lay around the platform. By the morning of March 6th, the major towns across Punjab, including Amritsar, Jalandhar, Rawalpindi, Multan and Sialkot, were up in flames. Millions of people boarded trains and bullock carts to cross the borders. Some did barefoot, marching in kafilas, leaving everything behind. Steamers played a crucial part in transporting people to India. On the western coast, steamer vessels from Karachi arrived in Mumbai, bringing in refugees from Sindh in Pakistan. The Hindu Sindhis from the former British province of Sindh were the largest community of refugees to make Bombay their new home. The Indian government chartered 9 steamers for the movement of the refugees. and the steamers of the Persian Gulf Line also picked up people during their stop at Karachi on their way to Mumbai. On the eastern side, the West Bengal government arranged for 15 steamers to bring in refugees from Chittagong, Narayanganj, Barisat and Chandpur to Calcutta. Some refugees moved to Orissa, Assam and Tripura to build their lives. The division that took place on the basis of a two-nation theory permanently uprooted the lives of millions who suffered the trauma of losing one's home, one's family, one's identity. Each nation chose the way it wants to grow. A new country was also formed in 1971, but the plight of certain sections of their population remained unheard. The minorities scattered across Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan have suffered, and some till date have been migrating to India, some as refugees, some as immigrants, largely for reasons that had led to the bloodied partition. Why it becomes important for us to keep this horrific event in our memories is because we need to ensure that the same colonial mindset that had on that fateful day seeped into the minds of India's political elite should never make its way back.